Have you ever wondered who the salesman of the century is? How he did it and how you can too? If you've ever wondered about this, and even if you haven't, you need to keep listening. You know why, Russ?
Yes, Alex, I do, because today we have none other than Ron Popeil, the American inventor, marketer, and king of the infomercial.
Ron will be with us for the full hour. He'll answer our questions as well as yours next on Russ on the Radio.
Welcome, Ron, to Russ on the Radio. Glad to have you with us.
Hello, Russ. I'm really glad to, and I'm honored to be on your show.
Thank you very much, sir. We're going to get right to it because you have so much to tell us.
I hope so.
You do. I have a quote. I'm going to go over it real quick. This quote is from someone you know. I pushed, I yelled, I hawked, and it worked. I was stuffing money into my pockets, more money than I had ever seen in my life. Tell us how it all started.
Well, the quote was from me.
Yes.
I was young, and I had to work. My background, of course, I was in an orphanage when I was younger. I was raised out of the orphanage by my grandparents, and we had no money. And I met my father when I was about 16 years old, and he was an amateur inventor, and he had some product, and he sold me the product that he made, and I paid full price, and I would take that product to flea markets. We had a street in Chicago called Maxwell Street,
yes,
which was the original flea market, and then I got myself a job. When I say a job, I never worked for anyone. I always said in the book I wrote that if you ever wanted to make serious money, never work for anyone. I got a concession in a Woolworth store, 5 and dime, on State Street in Chicago. So in those days, my week was tied up in the Woolworth store Monday through Saturday. And on Sunday, I would go down to Maxwell Street, the flea market, and I kept a table in a fish store, and I gave them a few dollars to store my table so I wouldn't have to schlepp this big table where I would stand on some Coca-Cola boxes. And I bought the product from my father, and they were choppers and slicers and things of that nature. And I would just take one of them. I wouldn't sell a variety of products. Always focus on one product. And there I would be standing from early morning until late afternoon, and all I would be doing is selling product. And of course, in those days, there were no credit cards. It was all cash.
Oh,
and the cash came in. And products in those days were $1.98 or $2.98. You can't buy very much today for $1.98 or $2.98. But in those days, it was a lot of money. And in the summertime, I would go to the state and county fairs. And that was always the real cash cow because the audiences were so much bigger. And I would have a microphone and a table, and I'd rent a small booth in a building and take that product that I sold in the dime store and in the flea market on Sundays. And now we had 10 days or 2 weeks that a state fair would take place, and the money just flowed in, more money than I'd ever seen. And the best part about it all, though, was that fact that I didn't work for anyone, that I had an opportunity to take some time off to enjoy the money because of the responsibility having to go to work every day.
You know, you said something, Ron, that I think is such great advice for people today or any time. You said only focus on one thing.
One product. Right.
That's super good advice. And now, is that something you came up with yourself, or did someone teach you that?
I I'm self-taught. But do understand when I say self-taught, I only went 6 months to college and dropped out. I didn't do homework, and consequently, my grades were a little less than average. And so I really went to work after I dropped out of college. I was much older then. But that just makes common sense. If you try to sell too many things, the focus is lost, and the power of the sales presentation is also lost. So practice on one product, and you may falter the first few times in selling a singular product, but after a few times, you'll get it down, and then your presentation gets really perfected.
Great advice.
You think, just really quick, and I know we have a lot to get to, do you think someone could do that today, Ron?
You know, the opportunity of making money today without an education, of course, with an education, I would be so much farther today if I had an education, only because a lot of my friends who are so much smarter than I am, I'm really low on the totem pole. I know I could be a great deal more successful than I am if I had that education. But if one doesn't have an education, yes, the state fairs, the county fairs, you can make enough money going to county and state fairs and home shows and go home and garden shows. The cost of a booth is inexpensive, and the work is hard. But you have to have that one right singular product, and you have to believe in the product and have that passion and the presentation that's necessary to sell that product. And if one could do that, you could make just an awful lot of money. It's that's the way to go, and that's what I would do all over again.
That's what you would do.
If I didn't have one dime, that's what I would do.
That's incredible. We have about a minute already in the first section. I want to take this over to the next spot, but I believe you do something very unique when you watch TV, different than every other person. Do you know what I'm referring to?
No.
When you watch TV as compared to commercials.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people enjoy watching commercials, and some of them are just, the talent that goes behind it, but there's normally huge dollars that go behind great commercials. The consumer ends up seeing a great commercial, but many of them might ask themselves, who created it? How much money did it cost to make that commercial? I look at a commercial because I do my own, and I assist with my own editing and a variety of things, the titles that go in. So I get an idea when I look at a commercial, I analyze it, and I say, well, they spent $1 million or $2 million on a commercial.
Wow.
By the way, the best commercial, I was in the Philippines and I was staying at a hotel called the Shangri-La Hotel. They had an advertisement for their hotels on, and people who are listening, if they can remember to go to Shangri-La Hotel Wolves, WOLVS. I'm not going to talk about it. It grabbed me so much that I had to come back and tell all my friends about this one commercial. That's all I'm going to say. And now I'll talk about my 5-in-1 fryer and what makes it so unique, and especially for the couple of people that are going to receive one as a gift from you. The 5-in-1 fryer does a 15-pound turkey in 46 minutes in your kitchen.
Wow.
The machine is smaller than the turkey because that's the invention. People have small kitchens. They don't want an appliance that's big that they have to store away where they're only going to use it a few times. My machine is going to be used almost every day, and I want the people to keep it on the counter. But keep in mind, a 15-pound turkey in 46 minutes, and the machine is smaller than the turkey. Now, what's so great about this machine? It stores the oil in it while it's on the counter. The oil heats up. In my kitchen, what I do at home is I pass the machine, and I just turn the dial past 13 minutes. Because I know in 13 minutes, the oil will be at 385 degrees. And then I ask myself, what do I want to cook with it? It might be fried chicken. It might be French fries. We'll talk about fried chicken. It does 4 pounds in 12 minutes.
My God.
So what I do is I go to my refrigerator, take out as much chicken as I want, up to 4 pounds, coat it with some seasoned flour, put in a little egg wash, back in the seasoned flour, and into the metal wire basket that comes with the machine, put the lid on it. There's a lid on my basket, so when the food goes in the oil, the food can't rise to the surface. In 12 minutes, the chicken's done. You take the basket out. It has a draining position. You leave it there for 5 seconds. All the oil drains back into the oil in the machine. You take the lid off. There's a pair of gloves in the machine, so you can take the lid off, dump out the chicken, eat the chicken. What about the machine? Just put the lid on it and let the oil cool down on it by itself. 2 days later, you're going to go back to that same oil again, and you're going to fry something else. The problem of fryers today, people don't have a lot of fryers. They fry things in a frying pan.
Yes.
Bacon. You put bacon in a frying pan. You put a little oil in the bottom so it doesn't stick. You put as many bacon strips as you can. The bacon is done in a few minutes, but you have to turn each piece over with a fork or a tongue. Your hand comes close to the oil. Well, the bacon's done, it's crispy, you eat it, you enjoy it. But now, what do you do with the oil in the frying pan? You got to dump it in the sink with hot water, or you throw it in a garbage pail. And then you have to clean the frying pan. No, not with this machine. With this machine, you do up to 2 pounds of thick bacon in 10 minutes. You don't have any oil, any mess on your stove. There is no frying pan to clean up. How's that? And it does up to 2 pounds of crispy bacon, and you don't have to worry about throwing the oil away because you're going to use that oil in the next 2 weeks for 5 times before you clean the oil. And we give you an oil cleaning filtering system. I invented a hands-free funnel, and you get these oil cleaning filters, and you can use the same oil again and add some more to it, or start out with new oil. So for every 5 times you use it for different foods, there is no cleanup, no mess, and you're making food so fast for the whole family. When you're not frying with that machine, if you put water in it, it will do your food steaming.
Oh, that's
for your
nice.
Vegetables, for your tamales, for your clams or your lobster.
See, that's great.
Oh.
It also boils. So you can do 36 hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes. Or if you want to boil pasta, as we all do, it also will strain the pasta off for you as well. And the last thing it does that I like so much, it bakes. You can make a pizza bread in less than an hour, or a whole wheat nut bread. Any kind of bread you want, any leftover you may have in your refrigerator, some blueberries or raspberries, a blueberry raspberry nut bread, and have that done in about an hour using water, the steam, to cure the bread, and we give you the containers to do it in. And it's also, by the way, a rice cooker, but everybody's got a rice cooker anyway.
That's great, though, because it's all in one.
The fact that there's no cleaning, no mess, and you can keep using it over and over again. Most people don't know that in restaurants, they put 50 foods in the fryers that they have all day long. And the next day, they add a little bit more oil, and they fry another 50 foods. I'm telling you, this process of being able to use the machine over and over again and not having to worry about dumping out oil, not worrying about burning yourself, because you can't be burned, because before the food hits the oil, the lid is in place, so you can never be splashed.
That's wonderful.
And if you put too much oil or too much food in the machine and the oil rises up, it goes into these holes along the perimeter, and the oil ends up between the inner and the outer bowl, so the oil can't get on your counter. Safest machine ever made, small, use it every day, no cleanup, no mess, and very little energy. That's a machine.
That's incredible, Ron. We have about a minute or so. Call us at 602-277-5369. We have Ron Popeil, 5-in-1 fryer and food cooking system. We're going to give away 2. Call now. Are you guys shy out there? This is Ron Popeil. Does everyone understand who we have live on Russ on the Radio? I hope so.
You know, it was wonderful to hear all the things that this cooker does, because I was thinking, well, not everybody eats fried food, but you covered it with steaming and fresh vegetables.
But, people say they don't fry a lot of food, but they do eat French fries, and they do eat fried chicken. And if you go to the supermarket, they'll have a whole line of frozen foods, like frozen chicken strips, that you do in 4 minutes in my machine.
Whew. Alex?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we have 5 people and perhaps another 4 who are in line for this cooker. So we've got contestants. Ron, I wanted to ask you, because you started to talk about before someone invents a product,
yes,
they
very,
should.
Very important.
Yes.
There's so many amateur inventors across the country. And over the years, the success that I've achieved has gotten out, and people do want to be successful, and they do want to make a lot of money, and they can do it by creating a product. But 99% of the people who do it go about it the wrong way. They invent the product, and after they invent the product and go to great expense of having it patented, then they don't know what to do with the product. And the product just dies, and the expense and the work effort have all gone to waste. So when I invent a product, before I invent that product, I understand the marketing of it. I never try to invent a product that is only going to appeal to relatively few people. That's why so many of my products are related to the kitchen, because so many of us cook. Some people go out and they create a product, and they don't understand that they have to advertise. And the cost of advertising is the same for a product that has an audience of 1,000 people as it is for 10 million people. You need to have the product that has mass appeal so it can deal with the cost of advertising.
Ron,
market first and then invent.
Okay. Ron, could you take a call or two, please, from
Absolutely.
The audience? We have Jan calling from Peoria for Ron Popeil. Jan?
Yes.
Hi, Jan.
Hi, Ron. So
Jan,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Do they still have Bergner's department store in Peoria?
I don't know.
Bergner's was a department store that was the second city that I opened up when I started my business.
Oh,
when
really?
I went on television, there were no credit cards and things, and we had to put our product in stores.
Uh-huh.
And in Peoria, Illinois.
We have 2 Peorias, too.
I'm in Peoria, Arizona.
Oh, that's the reason why.
That's
I was
okay.
referring to Peoria, Illinois.
That's okay. That's good.
Okay.
Well, I'm so excited about this new 5-in-1 fryer and cooking system that you have.
Well, it is a turkey fryer.
Uh-huh.
And I suggest that if you really want to get excited, go to 5-in-1 fryer and look at the infomercial, because the infomercial tells you everything. As far as the instructions on how the machine operates, of course, you get a booklet and you get a big sheet specifically how to do the turkey. By the way, I cooked 35,000 pounds of turkey to perfect the turkey with this machine.
Wow.
35. Fortunately, Jenny O and Zaki Farms supplied the turkeys for me for nothing.
So who got to eat all those?
There is a video that you can watch that is very instructional in case someone wants to buy one as a gift for someone. The video tells you everything.
Well, where can I purchase this?
At 5-in-1fryer.com.
Right over the internet.
Sounds wonderful.
Oh, it is.
Does it come in different colors, or
no,
is it...
not yet. No, it only comes in black.
Okay, well, that'd be good.
It's the right now. It's only. Oh no, excuse me. There are some white ones. I did make a few white ones, and so that is on the website.
Well, what kind of oil do you use?
Well, let's go. Let's talk about oil. I'm first any kind of oil: vegetable oil, corn oil, peanut oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil. Now, in my house, I just happen to be the world's largest collector of olive oil. I'm in the Guinness World Book of Records, and I have a ranch that I produce my own olive oil. And I like cooking, but not the expensive olive oil. Regular, inexpensive, regular olive oil. It's called pure olive oil. It's really not pure. It's a blend of oils. It's called pure olive oil. It's the cheapest. And I use that in my house because I believe olive oil is healthier.
That's what I understand, yeah.
But you can use any oil that you want in the fryer, and the results come out the same.
Thank you for that question. We have two more people, so we're going to try to fit everybody in.
Thanks, Jan, for calling from Peoria, Arizona. We have Michael Fowler from Glendale. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Are you there, Michael?
Doing great.
Good. You're talking to Ron Popeil.
Thank you. Hi, Ron. My favorite invention of yours was the pocket fisherman. I was wondering if that's still available anywhere.
It is. I just bought one, Ron.
I saw one.
Yes.
I saw one when I sold my company in 2005. They have some. I also saw it on that TV show where they someone brought it in. It was a big article. It'll come to me in a few seconds, and I'll remember. When you get old, you start forgetting things.
Where did you find yours, Russ?
I found mine on the internet, and Michael, if you leave me your number, I will send you mine. It's in a box, and it's from Ron Popeil.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Michael. We're going to pop over to another caller. This is Roger from Connecticut. Welcome, Roger.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Connecticut.
Good.
We're a long way off. How are you?
Good.
You're talking to
I'm
Ron
watching you online.
I used to work at the Danbury Fair in Connecticut.
You're doing what, Ron?
The Danbury Fair was one of those fairs in the summertime that I always used to go to.
Oh.
Yeah,
the Eastern States Exposition in Massachusetts, in Springfield, and then I would go to the Danbury Fair to make some extra money, and that was one of my favorite fairs in the world in Connecticut.
Roger, you saw Ron at the fair?
I saw him at the Big E, yes, in Springfield.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I have one of his set it and forget it's, and I use it for chicken and beef and pork. It's wonderful.
You know, with all due respect to that product, and so many, that product did $1.4 billion in sales. The fryer I use 4 times more than my rotisserie. 4 times, because the rotisserie, you still have to clean it after every use.
Right.
The fryer, you can use it 5 different times. And by the way, there's no transfer of flavor. If you're frying fish and then you fry French fries, there's no transfer of flavor, of smell, or taste of the fish into the French fry. Something else I learned about in the development of the product.
So, Roger, what was your question?
Well, yeah, I was a marketing major in college, and I was in sales all my life, and I'm just amazed at what Ron's done over the years with all these different products. You know, he like the hairspray, the
GLH hairspray,
GLH Formula 9, yes.
I still use it,
and how he's continually reinvented himself and how he knows how to market. I mean, that's the amazing point. But the other thing I was interested in is you keep saying you can keep using the oil, and all you do is keep adding new to it because
there comes a time if you keep adding oil to old oil, as most restaurants do. There comes a time in my own kitchen here, and I can only speak for myself. After 5 usages of the machine, do not add more oil to it. You can. I don't. I change the oil after 5 usages of different foods. So
now, when you change it, Ron, do you have to do any cleansing for the machine or filtering?
Oh yeah, the machine fits in the dishwasher.
Okay, that's excellent.
Fits in the dishwasher.
That's about as good as it gets.
That's about as good as it gets.
And it's also easy to clean by hand because it has an oil base, and so foods don't want to stick to it.
Another great product. And we want to ask you a question, Ron. And I'm not sure what it's called. I call them pitch phrases. Mm-hmm. But wait, there's more, and so on and so forth. Can you do some of them for us? And because it's gone down you've gone down in history. I mean, come on. And how did you develop that technique?
Well, some of it happened. Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it happened. My TV shows on the infomercials are all unscripted, and the people are real people in the audience. They're not told what to say. There's normally 200 to 250 of them who get a machine, and I think $25 or $50 to come to the show. They get a machine, they use the machine, and we get their feedback. But the show itself is unscripted, so it's kind of difficult. The cameramen don't know which way I'm walking, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Normally I have a show host that's from one of the shopping networks. Steve Bryan is the one that I enjoy so much, and I have him on a lot of the shows. And, of course, he just picks up what I'm saying and also has used the machine. But the set it and forget it, I just walked over to a machine and I said, you turn the dial, you set it and forget it. And the audience picked up on it. And the next thing I was doing, I was asking the audience, and what do? You set it and forget it. So it happened at the showtime. Now, some of the other stuff, before I did infomercials, there was direct response, and the commercials were in fact scripted because they had to be within a specific time, 2 minutes or 1 minute. And I remember the problem with buttons is they always fall off. The problem with buttons is they always fall off, and when they do, don't sew them on the old-fashioned way with a needle and thread. Get a new buttoneer, the new automatic button fastener. And so some of that stuff I remember, and the short form, the minute and the 2 minute commercials were in fact scripted because everything had to be done within a certain time frame. As far as, but wait, there's more?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I could have heard that. I certainly didn't create it. I'm sure I heard it somewhere, another salesman saying it, or I might have done it myself. So my memory is not that good of where that was established, but there were a lot of great salesmen selling at state and county fairs and on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Very talented salespeople. I was just another one.
Well, I think you were more than just another one. Your book, the Salesman of the Century. I keep it by my bedside. Tell us about it.
That book, at that point in time in my life, kind of expressed on what people should do with an invention. You hear about send us your invention and we'll help you get it off the ground and we'll do this and we'll do that.
Yes.
99% of that are people who will just take your money and will get you nowhere. Access to retail is one of the things they say. If you got a good product, you have access to retail. The QVCs of the world will take any product that they think is clever and priced right, that's of quality nature. So I say avoid going to these invention companies. Most likely you're going to end up giving up lots of money and getting very little in return.
Wow.
How does let's say I have an invention, how would that person approach someone like QVC? How does that process?
You call the buyer up of that department, and the assistant buyer will say, what does your product do? And if it sounds interesting enough, she'll set up an appointment and you'll go down there and show them the product. But it's not that's the retail aspect of it. Having the product manufactured, working in China is so difficult. Language barriers, having them wanting to change the product without your knowledge, having them trying to change materials that they don't think you'll understand or catch. And it's a very difficult. In fact, I'm be working on a book on this fryer because I worked on it for 14 years. And I kind of document every week what I did and the problems that I encountered. But one of the most major problems inventing product today is after you have the invention and you want to manufacture it. And of course, it's still less expensive to have it made in Asia than it is here. The food dehydrator was made in the United States because it was just a simple molding product. But if the product is more labor intensified, it has to be made in Asia. But then you take on a whole series of problems that are beyond belief. And so, but if you get that far and you're able to get production, then the QVCs and the home shopping networks and the retail store buyers, they're all for it, provided you have some advertising on it and the product makes sense with the cost and design and function.
What would you say to kids today who are thinking about becoming inventors or have their own ideas? What kind of advice would you give them?
I'll be repeating myself when I say, first, try to understand the marketing. Is there a market for this product and how big is it? Because you will have to deal with the cost of advertising, whether it's newspaper, TV, or some other form of advertising. There is a cost to let people know what that product does. And that cost does not change based upon your product. So your product has to hit and be wanted and needed by, not wanted but needed by, the consumer in mass, or else the cost of the media will not allow you to make a profit, but will also cost you to lose money, even with a good product.
Ron, do you have a price point of creation price point and then a retail price point? Do you figure that is it 10 times or 5 times?
When you start out, Russ, you really, until the product is totally designed and it functions the way you want in prototypes, then you can get a handle on what it costs. You may solve all your problems. The product is needed, and you solve all these problems, but the cost of the item is such that nobody can afford it. And that's where you're caught between a rock and a wall. You did everything right, but now to make it right costs so much money. Normally there's a 4-to-1 spread. That is to say, if a product sells for $100, the normal rule of thumb, it shouldn't cost more than $25 landed here in the United States to make. And that allows you money for advertising time. It also allows you money to sell it to a retail store to sell it for that $100 price tag.
Well, that's great. We have about 45 seconds, Ron, or so. Oh, my. Ron, you have to come back when you want to release the next product because we had so many calls, I can't believe it. Would you do that?
More than happy to you, Russ. And anytime you'd like to have me come back and
you're
be on your show, I'll be more than happy to.
You're a good friend and a good guy.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Russ on the Radio. You're listening to 1100 KFNX. Today we were motivated and inspired by the incomparable Ron Popeil, the American inventor and salesman of the century. All good wishes to Ron, his family, and our friends at Russ on the Radio.